Jimmy McAlliott found the net. Goal for Wednesday.
Terrific goal by Sheridan.
Chris Waddle, is he going to have a crack?
Oh, he does, and it's goal. Still Glenn Wheeler. Hayden Flood wins the
Is there time for a winner?
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday Till I Die podcast. I'm James Mappin. This is the debate show, the show where you can come up and get it all off your chest. A lot of opinions are flying around on the socials, as there always is, and this is the place where you need to come and discuss all of those. Apologies for the delay in getting underway. First of all, to do the Twitter Spaces, I use my old phone because it's got the old lightning adapter on the bottom, and that's the only one you can use. Sorry for kind of getting into the specifics, but I forgot to charge it, so that was a bit of an issue in itself. So if that goes off, it's probably because it's got no charge on that phone. And then no idea what happened with YouTube. It just seemed to shit itself. But that's all sorted. We're back underway. A reminder, if you are watching on YouTube, do get in the comments. I'll try and read as many out as I possibly can throughout the course of the show. But the main thing is I want you to come up and speak on X Spaces. Let's have a chat. Let's have a debate. You know, as I said, you can get something off your chest. This is the place to come and do it. If you don't want to comment over on X, I might not see it. So do hop over to YouTube if you can, if you want your comments to be read out. A quick plug for Patreon before we get started. If you want extra time, the preview show, of which there's a new one for the trip to Charlton this weekend. I recorded that earlier on today. We've got match day specials. We've got the replay of this show. So if you've got to shoot off somewhere, if you've got to put the kids to bed or whatever it is you need to do, then yeah, you can catch the full show over on Patreon. And you get access to Discord as well. So social media can be great. It's also full of, not some great stuff either. So our Discord community is probably 200 strong now. It's fantastic. Loads of great people in there. So yeah, you can join that as well. Also, you may have well seen a tweet go out last week or the week before, I can't remember. Daryl, the lad who I sit next to at Hillsborough. I didn't know him before I started doing the podcast, but he wanted to get a season ticket and asked if he could sit next to us, which I said, why not? Well, anyway, he's raising money for Willow Wood Hospice. Unfortunately, he lost his dad fairly recently, and it was the hospice that looked after him before he passed away. So Daryl is actually walking the full length of the Pennine Way. I didn't really know what the Pennine Way was before he told me. And then I had a look, 268 miles. I had to check with him, like, is this actually what you're doing? He's like, yeah, I'm walking the full length. Like, Christ almighty. I don't know how long that's going to take him. I think 10, 11, 12 days, something like that. Well, anyway, he's raising money for Willowwood Hospice. He's also trying to raise money and raffling off 2 signed shirts from his own personal collection. So he's got a Gregory shirt. He's also got a Windass shirt, framed as well. It's the 22-23 season, the one where we got promoted. So, yeah, if you want to get involved, there's a link in the description. I think it's £2.50 a ticket. Really good chance of winning at the moment because there's not that many people that's got a ticket either. So just letting you know, the description is in the link is in the YouTube description. So if you want to go and do that, that would be great. Right, this is the big talking point. Certainly has been this week already. It was announced on Monday that the Charlton tickets this weekend have sold out, all 3,000 of them, as we head to the capital for the first time this season. Well, it prompted a lot of posts on social media. I don't know if they were aimed at me, kind of people saying being a hypocrite, or those that go into the game this weekend are hypocrites, but sparked a lot of infighting once again between fans, and the message was pretty clear. Not a pound in the ground should also extend to not a pound in any ground. So what's your take on all of that? I'll give you my views in a second, but what do you make to it all? People saying that you shouldn't go to away games now as well as the home games. I mean, does it bother you that some fans are going to away games and we're selling out away tickets, away allocations, or are you one of those that thinks they shouldn't go, and by doing so, they're actually funding Chancery? I mean, are you a fan that goes to the away games? What do you have to say in all of this? I want people from both sides of the argument to come up, because I did put a poll out on Monday as well, and pretty split really on whether people think we should or shouldn't boycott those away games. I do want it to be a good, proper debate. Like I said, I can see a lot of people both for and against. We can also talk about Charlton away. I think we'll probably come on to this, maybe at the end of the show if there's any time. But yeah, we have got Charlton Athletic at the weekend. We'll maybe talk about that then. They've come off the back of a 2-0 defeat. We obviously got an absolute thumping by Coventry before the international break. They're mid-table, 13 points, 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats, pretty average across the board. We can talk about that a little bit later. But I can see there's Rob and there's Sups and there's G that want to talk. Press that request to talk button if you do want to come up and speak. For me, I just want to start off by saying, I said I put the post out on X on Monday morning, and it was I just saw people hammering fans for going to the away games. And I just wanted to, first of all, I checked my facts, and the facts are that the away team gets 5% of the away ticket sales as a commission. They can also add an admin fee, which we do. If you've bought tickets, I'm sure you've seen the £1 admin fee that we add on. So I did the maths, just over 3,000 tickets. I think it's 3,100 and something, I think it is. Adult tickets are £30. If you take 5% off of that, you're left with, give or take, £8,000 pretty much. Now, I know not every ticket's going to be 30 quid because there's some kids in that. The point is, it's not a lot of money. My argument was that the £8,000 doesn't get you very far. Now, a lot of people kind of took offence to that, really, and we'll come on to that in a second. But, player wages are going to be in the region of around about, again, £100,000 to £200,000 a week. Again, I don't know that for certain, but £8,000 isn't really going to touch the sides in the grand scheme of things. And there's so many messages saying that this is such a poor take, that I'm justifying people going to the away games. First of all, I mentioned it this weekend, I don't go to the away games. You won't have seen me many away games. Grimsby, I think, was the last one I went to last season in the Carabao Cup. I've got 260 ticket priority points. I checked that before I came on. That's just 2 season tickets. That is it. I don't get any more. So, like, for me, that's not the issue. That people have pointed out that over 23 games, it does soon add up. Granted, it does. You're looking around about £190,000 if it is £8,000 for every away game. Sounds like a lot of money. It's a lot of money to me. I'd love 880 grand. But as I pointed out, that's just 1 week's wages or 2 weeks' wages, whichever way you want to look. And that money's for a year, or for a full season. He's not got that yet. We've got, how many have we played? 4, 5 games away from home so far. I mean, the boycott on the food and drink is working. We can see that now. The kiosks are shut. That's why, the Trust have called for that sort of boycott. Because they also, as well, there's plenty of other pubs, shops, restaurants, cafes, berets, good at Chippy. You can go there and get your food and your drink. You don't need to go and get a pie and a pint before half time or before the game starts. Let's be honest, they're not great either, are they? To be fair. But I think, just for me personally, I think there's just been a massive overreaction. The main man isn't talking. He's not budging. People are upset. They're angry. I'm in the same boat. I want to take my lad to the game. He's not gone to a game this season. I would have taken him at least to 1 or 2, I think, already. I've chosen not to. One of the cup games might have been a good opportunity. Maybe a bit late for him. But, I'm not taking him. Like, I'm not taking to any games, and I'm sure other people are the same. I feel like, personally, again, this, and like always, this is just my opinion. I feel like people don't like being told what to do. They probably also find it a bit unfair that fans are going to the away games, yet they're also being told not to go to the home games. And then, I think you got to look at the bigger picture. It is about the exposure. An empty Hillsborough will look better as a visual impact. So I'm talking obviously about Middlesbrough, the boycott there. That will look better than an empty away game at the Valley this weekend, which, will just look like Plymouth. Plymouth don't take many away fans. It'll just look like it's another team that goes. There's plenty of empty away ends when you look throughout football this weekend. It's not really going to have much of an impact, personally. Again, this is just my personal opinion. And then also, I suppose, the other question is, you've got to ask what sort of cost that exposure would get. The away fans are going down. There's a lot of solidarity between home and away fans now. We saw that at Portsmouth. We saw that at Wrexham, as well. The money that generated for the trust. Had we have not gone, that wouldn't have happened. So there's all that element to it as well, which you need to factor in. I get people are angry. I get people are upset about it all. It is a very emotive subject, is football. It's supposed to be we're supposed to enjoy this. It's supposed to be a form of entertainment, but we're not getting any sort of entertainment at the moment. But I feel like I've spoken quite a lot here, and I just think there's bigger battles to be had instead of going at those people that go to the away games. I've also seen comments saying it's those that go to the away games that are calling out the people buying the pints in the ground. I mean, if you can prove that, then I'll hold my hands up, fair enough. But I think people are just kind of putting two and two together just to try and prove a point. I don't think it's all those. I don't think it's all the away fans that are calling out fans for, wearing the yellow and black scarf and buying a pint. So I saw that picture circulating around. As I've always said as well, when it comes to any sort of protest, you do you. There's been some people calling those people out that, like I just mentioned, for buying pies and pints. Why don't you just go over to him and just ask, or just try and educate them and just talk to them rather than trying to name and shame them. I don't think what's the benefit in doing that? I don't think it's really, I don't think there's any point in doing that. Again, please do come up if you agree or disagree with me, and I know a lot of you do disagree with what my opinion were. Do get your point across this evening. Wow, I can see. I've just looked at I can see loads of people want to speak. So many. Let's just bring a few of you up. I'll read a few comments out before I get to you. Apologies, I didn't see who was first to come up. So I know I mentioned. I think it might have been Sups that was first. So Sups, get yourself ready. I'll come to you in a second. I'm just going to read a few of the comments out as well. Natalie said he's found 50p down the back of the sofa. I'm guessing that's in reference to the wages that are now paid, which obviously now becomes a news story every single month. John says, evening all, he's still at bloody work. Well, I hope work's doing you well, John. Sam, apparently we have some people watching the match on Saturday against Charlton. 3,000 of us going down. Us being Wednesday nights, that is. As I mentioned, I'm not going to Charlton. I've heard that there might be. I know there was a cryptic message that went out earlier. I've heard that it's John Texter that's going to be there, but apparently it was another Charlton game as well. So maybe we're putting two and two together. Gary can watch YouTube fine, but not on the telly. No idea, Gary. Not too. Maybe it's better that I'm not on the telly. To be fair, you've maybe dodged a bullet there. Daniel says, evening, James. Do you think the HMRC are waiting for the independent regulator to come into play before advancing with administration? No idea on that one. Lots of people saying I'm not on telly. There was an issue with the stream earlier, so I had to start a new one. That could be the reason why. Anyway, let's come to Sups then. First, he's been waiting patiently. Sups, how's things, mate? You all right?
Hey up, James. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Hope you are as well.
Yeah, I need a drink. My mouth's dry again. Lot of talking that I've done. I got a bit excited there, didn't I, really?
You did. Well, it's a proper kick-off debate show tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, a lot of people seem to be interested in this one.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, I messaged you something earlier this week saying something about the boycotts, and you replied saying, don't put that on socials for God's sake. And I have to tell you, you were absolutely right.
Yeah.
because yeah, I mean, we're all over the place as a fan base on this, but I mean, I don't like being told what to do either. But I joined the trust. I became a member of the trust because I thought, everything considered, that the Wednesday Supporters Trust represented our best chance of organised action in numbers, and that's what they've been delivering. One thing I did want to say right at the start was, the voluntary work and the hours that those lads and lasses put in is brilliant. Some of the protests that they've mobilised, even this boycott. I mean, I know we're going to talk about the specifics of it, but even this boycott, none of this would have got off the ground without the hours and hours that they've put in and still put in, whether it's selling scarves or liaising with other grounds and all the rest of it. And that I couldn't even scratch the surface of the stuff that they have to do, or when you throw in all the admin and all the rest of it. So they've been doing a brilliant job. But I would say, let's just keep in mind that the current boycott is not a pound in the ground. My situation, me and you have talked about it before. I moved to North Wales 25 years ago, had a season ticket for a few years until it became clear that I couldn't get to midweek games anymore because of the distance. And since then, I've paid for me match day tickets on a pay-as-you-go basis, go into the weekend games. Now, because of that, I can't go to Hillsborough this season, and I don't expect that I'm going to be back all season long because I have to buy me match day tickets on a pay-as-you-go basis. There's me. There's usually at least one, maybe two members of my family who come with me, and we would spend, across the four home games this season. I wouldn't have got to any of the cup games that were boycotted, but the 4 home games have all been on a weekend. So I'd have probably spent 430 quid on tickets. I haven't spent that. One of my daughters might have had a shirt, 70 quid. I might have spent 100 quid on training gear like I do every year to go running and what have you, because I normally pick up a couple of bits. So that's 600 quid I've not spent at all. Now, I have been to 3 away matches because it represents probably my only chance of watching my team this season at all. I've managed to get to 3 games, all made general sale. Probably spent 70 quid on tickets. So I've worked out that's probably £3.50 that's gone to Chancery. So if you think about the 600 quid that I've not spent, £3.50's gone to him. I've deprived him of £596.50 so far this season, and we're only a third of the way through the season. If you say could be 1,500 quid across the season that me and my family aren't spending at Sheffield Wednesday, could be 1,500 quid. Well, if you spread that out across another 5,000 families, that might be big, but let's just say 5,000. That's 7.5 million quid that our fans have not spent, that hasn't gone to Chancery. It's strength in numbers, and it's all doing our bit. You made a really good point about the beer in the ground and a bloke having a pint or a pie in the ground, and I get that. It's, with everything going on, it's not a great look, and I wouldn't do it. But who's to know that fella hasn't already deprived him of a few hundred quid? Maybe he would have spent 300 on shirts and training kit, and he's bought a beer. It doesn't look great, I know, but nobody knows each other's circumstances. I think
I just think, Subs, I think people are far more bothered about people that aren't partaking in certain boycotts than they are at looking at the bigger picture. And like what you've just said there, yes, you might have spent or given him £3.50 or £4, whatever the value is so far. But like you've mentioned, you've not given him £600 at least, or whatever the figure was that you came to. Like, so that, like, look at what people are doing as opposed to what people aren't doing, or, you know, all right, the other way around. If you think about it, you know, look at what people aren't spending rather than looking at what people are spending, because that is a percentage that is massive. Like the how much people have stopped spending, and also you're not going to get 100%. You're not going to have 100% of people like not going. We've already seen that. You know, it was Grimsby in the cup. What a shit game. When in the grand scheme of things, what a shit game. If there's going to be any game that you don't go to, it's going to be that one. But yet there were still people that turned up. It's not even a case of turning up because they've got a season ticket. They've turned up and they've actually paid to go. So you're not going to get that full buy-in to absolutely everything. But to like in your case there, to reduce your spending by, I can't do the maths, it's probably 98% or whatever it'll be.
Yeah,
is a massive show of, you know, solidarity and kind of towards the boycott.
It is, and I think that's kind of where I'm going. Is everyone's got a personal contribution that they think they can make, and if I was a member of the if I was on the board of the trust or one of the organising committee, I'd be going nuts if I'd just concentrated on the stuff that wasn't working, because that's not the idea. The idea is look at what is working. Look at the empty seats. Look at the empty concourses. Look at the club shop that's like a ghost town. Look at all of the kind of different all of the different match day routines people have had to come to terms with this season, because they are making a contribution. I mean, I would say to people, you know, get behind the trust. They can't just whack out a blanket boycott, which would prevent us from watching our team at all. People are already struggling. I know people don't want to not watch their team on a Saturday for a home game. I'm getting IKEA shouts off the wife. I should be on the Woodhead Pass and I'm getting dragged to IKEA. Now, nothing's more depressing than that on a Saturday. It's absolutely terrible. But when the current boycott is match day tickets, cup tickets, food and drink on the concourse, programmes, replica shirts, club shop merch, that boycott doesn't currently extend to away tickets, and I don't think anybody going away to support their team should feel anything other than proud to go and watch Wednesday. That might change. You know, the trust might have a different view on it. That I'm sure, you know, they might have thought, well, is it viable for us to contact other clubs and talk about Middlesbrough bringing 4,000 to Hillsborough and 4,000 Borough fans directly lining the pockets of Chancery to the tune of 95% a ticket. But it's those kind of conversations, that's going to be very difficult to convince another fan base not to go and watch their team.
I did think about that actually, and did wonder, because, you know, they will be getting, every team now will be getting top and bottom, without a shadow of a doubt. You know, top and bottom of the lep. That is what's keeping the club afloat. Well, I say afloat, it's not really afloat, is it? It's just bobbing up and down. Maybe that's what's paid for the wages and stuff, because Coventry brought a fair few, didn't they, as well? Obviously, we had Grimsby that brought a fair few, all right, cheaper tickets, but, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'd love to know, and obviously we're never going to know. I'd love to look at the accounts in greater detail, or find someone that's got all this information to actually know what is exactly happening, because it's difficult to know if it's working or not, isn't it? You know, us not spending any money in the ground is it actually having an impact? I don't know. So I'm going to have to move on because I've got so many people that want to come up. I know we normally have quite a lengthy chat, but so many
Cheers,
people that want to come up.
All the best.
Thanks, mate, for doing just that. I'm going to come to Andrew next because I know he's one of the people that said that we should be boycotting these away games. So Andy, I'll come to you in a second. I'm just going to read some more comments out. Simon says, took a few years to gain enough points to go to away games. I won't spend a penny in the ground and will be boycotting the Middlesbrough game plus more as it's dire, but I won't boycott the away games. He says it shows support for the lads, and let's be honest, we all sing Chansiri's something for 90 minutes. Yeah, of course we do. Spectre says the protests don't matter to Chansiri. He isn't selling. Why have you guys not realised this? His debt wipes when the clubs go under, and that is what he is doing. Wake up. Steve says it's definitely bringing out the Karens. Lol. Justin says, I think when I don't renew, it'll be around £1,500 not spent with DC in a season. Tickets, kiosk, and merch. Mark says everyone is doing their bit. Yep, totally agree with that one. Harpo says refusal to renew our season tickets. That's the point where we can make things extremely difficult for DC. Liam, I go to the aways and will continue to at least this season. If the trust call for something, it's because they believe it's necessary for the future of the club. Finally, Gary says the protests and boycotts we are told are working. How do we gauge that? Obviously, loss of revenue for the two, but he's still here with seemingly no intention of selling. So how long is it going to go on? Yeah, that is a massive question, Gary. We don't know how long this is going to go on, and we'd love to know. Let's come to Andrew then, if we can. Andrew, are you there? Just not unmute yourself. How's it going, mate? All right?
I'm good, thank you. You?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming on, pal. Do appreciate it. You're under the impression that we should be boycotting these away games.
I am. It's probably not as strong as it comes across on Twitter, because obviously when you write stuff, people jump on bandwagon and say, what you're on about, or it might come across different.
That's why, just on that, that's why I like doing this show as well, because it's same when I reply to people. I think people see it as an argument all the time, and then that's why I do this, because it gets people on both sides of the argument to put the point across, and you never know, there might be some sort of balance. You might walk away still having the same opinion, but you might have some sort of respect for what the other people are trying to say. And you don't get many characters, do you? 280 characters to get your point across. It's not a lot, is it?
Yeah, I think that's right, to be fair, and I think that's why it often comes across that you think somebody's attacking you or you're attacking them. And that's not necessarily the case. I appreciate the length that everyone's going to obviously try and force his hand. Can appreciate that everyone's circumstances are different. And I'm very much like yourself. Everyone can do as they wish. For me, I think on the whole, like you said, you're never going to get 100% of everyone wanting the same thing. But in general, I think you'd be far pushed to find anyone that wants him to stay anymore. I mean, you'd get people who, if you raise an issue, will come and say, well, you just want Chansiri to carry on then. Well, no, nobody's saying that. And I think sometimes people misconstrue what you're actually saying and start making things up that you never said.
Yeah, to try and fit a narrative. We see that quite a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and I think like some of the comments that were just made, we don't know if it's working. I'm not saying that it's not, and obviously he's losing revenue all the time, which, in fairness, he always has. He's always lost money at this football club. And obviously now he's cutting costs by releasing players, closing kiosks. So it might be to him that it's similar to most seasons, except his outgoings are far less than what they're ever going to be. Certainly, you'd have thought as things continue this way, we're likely to see loss of Charles, I would imagine, any other saleable assets, because obviously he's not just willing to give the football club up. I know people talk about some of the protests where people's been on the pitch other week, probably didn't go as well as maybe like Reading fans, but ultimately it wasn't the Reading fans that got Reading's chairman out.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you think, is this even having the effect that we wish? And again, like you said previously, I think people don't like to be told what to do, particularly if somebody is attending an away match. So myself, I haven't been to a match this season. and I don't intend on going to a match this season. But I'm not even particularly speaking on behalf of myself. Sometimes you see pictures of a couple of people at a kiosk maybe getting called scum or scabs or whatever, and I just don't agree with it.
Yeah.
It's working in terms of how empty it is. Grounds half empty, if not more. Nobody's buying kit, nobody's buying drinks and food. So if a couple of people feel the need to, I don't agree with calling them all names under the sun.
Yeah.
Likewise,
So I suppose. Well, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I suppose kind of reading between the lines, then people then going to the away games, you're feeling like, how can certain people call them out, and then in the same breath people go to away games as well.
I think that's a very good point, and I think sort of you're making the same argument, even though you're not one of those away supporters. I think the people feel, well, you've no right to tell me that I can't spend £1 on a cup of tea or whatever, £2, and then you go to away ground and then start saying, but it's not very much. Because obviously the argument works the same way that, well, if just I buy a cup of tea at Wednesday ground, just me, it's just £3 then.
I think what you've got to look at, though, is when it comes to the away, so we've sold out for Charlton. Yeah. So that's 100% like saturation. Like we can't buy any more tickets for Charlton away, and the revenue is £8,000. Whereas if everyone just goes, well, it's like the whole you're not the snowflake that creates the avalanche. Like if I just buy a pint for a £5 or whatever it's going to be, like then that's only a £5 for me. But then when you multiply that by 15,000 people, it suddenly becomes the potential. The revenue potential from buying, I mean, again, someone pointed out that you make about 12 pence on the price of a pint. I looked into that. That's taking all the overheads into account, which obviously. But anyway, I get that £5 isn't the amount of profit you get from a pint. But the potential revenue that you can bring in from selling those things is almost uncapped. Well, it is because they run out of pies. So there's a cap on how many pies they actually they bring.
But I think that underlines the point that some people are making themselves anyway, to then go against that point. Because obviously you say, but the maximum he could earn this season is 180, 190 grand from away tickets. 180, 190 grand. Yeah. So that's the same argument, isn't it? But you could surely you stand by that argument. So if your argument, well, I don't mind, you can buy a pint if you want in ground, or you can have an away ticket. That's consistent. To say to somebody you can't have a pint, but I'll go away because you don't make that much. That's not a consistent argument. Your own argument. Yeah,
but then you've also got to look at, like I mentioned, kind of in the intro. I don't know if you were in at that point where how much, because let's be right. Just look at one game, Wrexham. Yeah. Had we have not gone to Wrexham and made up that fuss about the banner and things like that, and we could argue that, all right, them not letting the banner in then kind of forced their hand a little bit with what they did with the shirts and stuff. That's then generated £37,500 worth of money for the trust, which the trust are then now using for protests further down the line. Had we have not gone, that opportunity would never have arisen. Same we've kind of putting the point across and getting that solidarity between other fans. And Leicester, I think there was more national media at Leicester than at any other fixture that weekend, and the Charity Shield was on at Wembley, by the way. So how much would that cost? Would that cost more than £8,000? Probably. As in a kind of an advert.
No, I agree, and that's what I'm saying. That I'm consistent in my view that if you buy a pint at Hillsborough, you do. I still want him to leave, as does everyone. But despite going to Wrexham, despite going to Leicester, it was fantastic. Great to see so much solidarity between fan base. Great to see efforts and everything that people had made. And I appreciate all the efforts that they go to. And like people have said before, he's still here.
Yeah.
And granted, like we said, nobody knows how long that could go on for. So some people might only get, I don't know, you might have kids that you see 2 hours a week and your only thing were taking them to a Wednesday match, or your only thing were to go and do this at Hillsborough. Do you know what I mean? That because people's circumstances are so different, I just don't sign up to the notion that if you bought a Wednesday shirt, you're scum. Because I'm not even talking about myself. As I say, I've not bought them. I'm not buying them. But I just,
I don't agree with that either. The calling out of people is just not on, really. You don't know people's circumstances and things like that, and
And
everyone's
that-
different. So
and that's what I'm talking about, and it becomes a bit of, well, like we've all seen, a bit of a divide, and it comes across as us arguing amongst ourselves, and you'll get everyone saying the same thing. Well, it's one man to blame, and then 2 minutes later, we're all blaming each other.
yeah.
Well, I thought we've agreed it's one man to blame.
Yeah, I think that's born out of frustration in that nobody else is talking. So all you're going to take pops at is people that are talking, which is fans, people like myself, other people doing podcasts and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
I think I've mentioned this a few times. There's a massive void of information. We're getting literally nothing. So people are just then filling that with all sorts of stuff. Some things true, some things aren't. People having a laugh and stuff. It's a wild place at this moment in time. I mean, quickly before I move on, Andrew, what's your take on the whole situation at the moment? Do you see light at the end of the tunnel at all, or do you think we're in this for the long haul?
My personal opinion is that he just can't afford to get rid of it. So I think if somebody said to him, regardless of whether it were 40 million or 150 million, if I have this football club, you have no debt moving forward, he would take it. I think the problem being, while ever he owns the football club, he uses that as leverage for other loans and other collateral, etc. Once that's gone, he doesn't have that. So he can value it what he wants. It don't mean it's worth it. So if he says to somebody, I want a loan of 5 million, but I've got an asset of 120, and they lend it him, well, once he's sold the football club, he ain't got a pretend asset worth whatever, has he?
Yeah. Yeah,
so I think that's why we're so stuck.
Yeah, we'll have to. I think you could be right there. I think ultimately nobody knows, do we really? He's never come out and said, has he, what his motive is or why he's hanging on. Andrew, it's been great to have you on, pal. Do appreciate your comments and things. It's good. Not often that the debate show lives up to its name and a proper debate, but it's good to hear that your side of things. Andrew, thanks for coming on, pal. Appreciate it as always. Let's come to Jake next. Apologies, I'm not doing it in order. I do apologise. I'm going to read some more messages out on YouTube that we've had already. Annie says everyone has a right to their own opinion, whether you agree or not. And yes, and this is what this is for, Annie. To come up and share your opinion. I will give anyone a platform to speak, and I will listen to you. Whether I agree with you or not is another story, but that doesn't mean we can't hear what everyone's opinion is. I won't just silence someone just because they don't agree with me. That's what it's all about. Football. That's why football's so great as well. J Blogs says, according to the minutes from the Trust meeting with the EFL, state that the EFL believe the boycotts are having an impact. Yes, I read that earlier, and it was saying how the only income that is coming in is from gate receipts, from the Premier League solidarity payments, and there was one other thing as well which I forgot. But there's no money coming in basically at all. SWFC fan, real fans don't tell away fans what to do. They are the heartbeat of our supporters. That's what SWFC fan says. Justin says, real people don't tell others what they can and can't. I'm guessing that's going to say do on the end. Stephen says, stop the infighting. Stop calling people out. It's frustrating as fuck, but we only have one enemy. Desh, for fuck's sake. Gaffer, let's not forget that everyone that supports the team away is an ambassador for the club and demonstrates across the nation that the support is still 100% behind the team and the staff. UTO says, if fans stop going away, does he get to stop paying for stewards and policing? Isn't that what the 5% is for, rather than profit? Yeah, there is that element. There is a cost associated to going to away games, and yeah, when you take all that out of it, is there anything left of that £8,000? Who knows? Let's come to Jake then. Jake, mate, how's things? All good?
Yeah, not bad, James. You?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you very much. It's been a bit lively on here this evening. It's good to see.
Yeah, so last week I think this debate sort of come out of nowhere, hasn't it, really? And I think it were always going to come, and it's a welcome debate, and it needs to be had. Whether it's right time for it would be my question in terms of away. I think what we've got to do first is prove that we can actually do it at home in league. And you know, every boycott has stages of boycott. I spoke to somebody at Blackpool Trust about this. They had exactly the same situation where their fans argued about how intense the boycott should be, but every boycott starts somewhere and gradually gets stronger and stronger. It caught me by a bit of surprise, to be honest, that it's come this early discussing away boycott. But it's like I say, it's a welcome debate. I'd question whether, as a club, we're ready for it, because would the 2,000 that no longer went away just be replaced by 2,000 more? And my suggestion would be, that's what would happen. And
yeah,
like
because it's not like let's pick Plymouth for example. I don't know if Plymouth sell out any away. The only away game they'll probably sell out is Exeter. I would have thought all the others they're not going to sell all the tickets that they get given. So therefore, there's always empty seats. So yeah, if people don't turn up to those, there's nobody. I suppose there isn't anyone taking those. Well, because we do sell out away allocations, and I know Sups mentioned that some have actually reached general sale, but they do sell out at some point, don't they? So there's probably going to, you're probably right. Like, there's going to be, I mean, maybe they might not sell out, but it's still going to be a considerable number, which is not going to, it's to all intents and purposes look like it's sold out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, there's two reasons why you do it, isn't there? One's to make a statement, to have an empty away end. First question is, do you think that'd actually work? And I'm convinced that wouldn't. And obviously, second one is this whole debate about how much does it actually fund him. And look, at the end of the day, I'm totally in agreement that in an ideal world, nobody would give him a single penny until he's gone. That's the way to get rid of him. You know, to have not a single person in a away ground, not a single person at home, and not a single person in club shop. That would be perfect, wouldn't it? And I think we all probably want that. But there's reasons why people do go home, and there's reasons why people do go away. One of the reasons people go away at minute, specifically like me, in terms of what I've done with protesting and involvement with Trust, is to protest. And I don't enjoy it one bit, but I get involved quite a lot in organising it, and you know, and lugging boxes of scarves and flyers and all that's not fun.
Hey, Jake,
shit.
Scarves, that's like a swear word. That I don't want to hear that word ever again.
But I do get the notion that a pound is a pound, whether it's at home and away.
It isn't though, actually, Jake, if you think about it, because a pound away
is 5p.
Yeah,
and a pound at home's 95p, and that's gross figures, but essentially, there's a massive difference between a pound away and a pound at home. We can't pretend there isn't. But you've got to look at whether it's feasible to call a boycott or away games, whether it would have any effect whatsoever. Because from the Trust point of view, there is no point in calling something that's not going to work.
Well, yeah, because it kind of just
it's the right thing to do, but we're talking about effectiveness, not principle.
Yeah, and if you look back at kind of the 1867 group and stuff, and those sorts of protests, there were some that didn't really land, and then it kind of people were questioning what it was all about and stuff. So you have to. That's why the first protest was, correct me if I'm wrong, turn your back on 10 minutes, because it's something that's really easy to do, that everyone can get involved in, and you're already there. We're not asking you to do anything different with your day. Just turn around, and even then, not everyone did it.
Yeah, and it'll get met with criticism, like every single protest has since day one. This all started. That's fine. Like people on board at Trust, me included, we're quite happy to take the criticism. We put ourselves there to take it, and we're also quite happy to discuss it, which is quite. I think that's quite. It's not expected from Wednesday fans, because what the club does with any criticism is completely ignore it.
Well, I think it switched, Jake, as well, because it was all about why we're boycotting, and now the question is, why are we not doing a boycott?
Yeah.
So I suppose in a way it is welcome. I'm just wondering whether the people that are saying we should do it are they the people that are going to away games and they're calling and they're asking for fellow away fans to not go, or are they fans like myself that don't even go to the away games? So like I've mentioned, ultimately, it doesn't, from a personal level, I'm not bothered whether there's 3,000 fans at Charlton or whether there's 4 fans at Charlton. Like, it doesn't affect me. You know, do you know what I mean? I'm not, from a personal perspective, because I'm not going to go, and I weren't going to go anyway in the first place. But you know, I don't know whether it's people that are, upset and angry that they're being told what to do, or effectively told what to do. You know, I don't know.
It's almost, I've got this opinion that it's a bit of a wasted argument, because I can guarantee you now, as a board member at Trust, I won't be renewing my season ticket, so that's 240 points down the drain next season. My chances of getting one next season will be 0 anyway. Like, so, and I've had to like sort of ask around for tickets to get there just to protest. So it's almost like I think this argument's too early. I don't think it's needed. I'm happy to discuss it, so is everybody else, but I think it really needs parking until we can see whether we can actually empty an home ground as a fan base. Like, there's no point going after 2,000 or 3,000 people that go away from home if we can't empty that home ground.
What's your take on next Wednesday then? Do you think, my own personal opinion, most people I've spoke to said they're not going. I really genuinely think there's hardly going to be anyone there next Wednesday. I mean,
if you look at, obviously, Star's poll, which I would guess is about as fair a poll as you can get. I mean, obviously, if Trust polled people, a lot of people that voted on that would be pro Trust. So we might, we'd be told that weren't a fair assessment. I'd set Star about as neutral as they could be on this. And it came back 90%. So we'll see. I mean, you could argue that some people that voted on that might not even be Wednesday fans. So it does look like there's a big uptake for it. And I think it's important as well to just remind people what's been asked here. It's not we're not in a state of total boycott at the minute. People have been asked to stay away from Middlesbrough because it's on Sky and it's a visual representation of how many people will actually be there next season. This is a visual of how many people won't renew.
This is what it's going to look like next season, kind of thing.
That's the idea behind it. The idea behind it were never to tell people that have bought season tickets to stop going. That wasn't the idea. I mean, we might get to that point as a club where that's the best thing for us to do, is to completely boycott everything. I mean, I'd be well up for that if I thought it'd be a success. It's what needs to happen to get rid of Chancery. We need to stop funding him in every single way that we possibly can. But what we don't need to do is suggest things that aren't going to happen, because that's just it's not helping anyone. It's good that everybody's having this debate and it's very welcome, but I just feel like it might be a bit early.
Yeah, great stuff. Jake, thanks for going on, pal. Appreciate it. I'm going to move on because, like I said, I've got loads of people that want to speak. But Jake, thanks for going on, pal.
No worries, mate. Cheers.
Nice one. Cheers, pal. Right, let's come to who's next? Lady Builder. I'll come to you next in a second. Just going to read some more comments. There's loads of comments coming in. Do keep more coming in. Do appreciate it. Danny says the problem is every single person in the away end is able to go to home games without spending a penny at the club. The ones who aren't buying home tickets have no chance to see their club at all. That also goes on to say that's where frustration will lie with many. I totally get that, and but people can do what they want to do with that. If they want to go to the home games, they can do. It's if it means that much to you that you feel so frustrated with people going to the away games, just go to a home game. But we've got to look at the bigger picture. Mark Chancery must love the fact fans are turning on each other. Keep the faith. Mark, bang right. I've said that a few times already. He must be laughing, just looking at fans arguing with each other. But I suppose it's because we love the football club. If we didn't, we wouldn't argue. We wouldn't be spending time listening to this show, coming on this show, interacting, doing all these things that we're doing if we didn't love it. That shows the passion. You just ignore it, wouldn't you? And just do something else with your time. But it's because we are so passionate and want it all to be sorted out as quickly as we possibly can. James says, if I was to attend a game, I would have to buy a soft drink or water to keep hydrated due to health issues. Yeah, James, you can also take a drink in as well. There is that option that you can. You don't always have to buy an overinflated bottle of water that you'll be getting from the kiosk. And there's not many kiosks to buy one in either. GTA says the same thing. James, can't you take a drink in the ground with you? So I'm sure there was a time where you couldn't really take anything into the ground. Now, like people eating fish and chips sat in front of him. I'm like, when was that a thing? When did they just let you walk in with anything? I've always been like hiding the bottles of pop in me, in my coat and stuff to try and get in. But now, just let you in with anything that you want. HEG says we'll be going there on Wednesday. There are personal reasons why we are going, and I don't think it's right that we should have to explain our reasons or be made to feel shamed in doing so. No, like I said, everyone's got their own reasons. Absolutely fine. We're not asking anyone to explain why it is they want to go. If people want to explain them, happy days. Maybe it might kind of educate others. Justin says, seems his debts are more than the realistic selling price. The most likely explanation. When turnover gets close to zero, I don't know what a maniac does in that scenario. Sells off more assets, but those are going to run out. Jez, as Ian Bennett has stated, we are taking 30 stewards with us on Saturday, minus the VAT and the admin costs means next to nothing in his pocket. There's so many more comments, I just can't simply get through each and every one of them, but do keep them coming in. Let's come to Lady Builder then next. How are you? All right?
I am. Are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you very much. Where do you stand in this debate? Are you on the side of that it's okay to go to the away games, or do you think we should stop going to them in its entirety?
Personally, I feel that we need to go to away games. To stop that would stop all support for them young lads.
I mean, Barry Bannon spoke out about that as well. I mean, if you listen to the Wednesday week podcast interview that he did last week or the week before, I think it was, he spoke about the away support, and he says it feels different when they go away from home.
Yeah, I mean, I've not watched, I've not listened to that, but I watched Leeds on us play Leeds on the TV, and afterwards when they're all talking, I think it was Powell. He basically said they did well because there's no pressure. There was barely anybody there, and obviously it made a massive impact. It was a shit game for us all to miss, but they are kids at the end of the day. And at the beginning before the season started, obviously we were all worried that they weren't going to perform, and we were going to be in heap loads of shit. Sorry for my language.
You can use it, mate. You can use it. It's fine. It's fine. I'm sure you've heard this. You've watched this show before. You say whatever you want. Say whatever you want.
Yeah. We all thought we were going to be in a heap load of shit. And granted, we're second from bottom, but there are some positives to that. United are sat underneath us. And we've got 6 points. I don't think anybody expected to get any because of the situation that we believe we were in. They've come out and they've outperformed our expectations. And then I saw a post from one of the young lads. I can't remember all the names yet. And I'm a season ticket holder. And like I go every home game. I won't be at Middlesbrough, and neither will my son or my brother. But for me, one of them posted dreams coming true and all this, and I genuinely thought, do you know what though? The club that he's probably grown up watching, it was a completely different atmosphere. Yeah, like. So
you're saying that we should go just purely from a support perspective.
You've got to bear in mind, like you've said, and a few others have said, it's 5%. Do you know what I mean? Like it's less than what he's making on an home day, and that's with everybody not going, and with 90% of people not buying anything. He's making less money from an away day than he is at home, which, like...
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to have the impact that people think it's going to have. And I get people saying, well, that's not. I feel like people are saying it more out of principle than actually the practicality of it and the actual. Like I said, it's like I can't go. I mean, someone mentioned it. I can't go to the home games, or I feel like I can't go to the home games, but yet people can go to the away games, and it's like, why can't I do that, but he can do this? It's like it almost feels. Again, this is all my only opinion, and it's like almost like an argument that you'd hear a child say in a school, like, "Miss, why can he do that and I can't do this?" Maybe that might rile people up that I've just said that, but that again, that's how I feel how it is, and I'm one of the people that don't go to the away games. I'm not saying it because I want to justify me going and kind of making an excuse for myself and things. I'm just that's my opinion.
To be honest, right, I'll be completely honest with you. I've not been to an away game this season because I can't get tickets.
Yeah,
I would go purely because, honestly, like we travel 2 hours every weekend. Every other weekend we do to watch them, and the atmosphere is garbage. Like, and I understand that everybody's really like, we're all deflated, but the whole argument before the season started was, well, we're all going to go because we've already paid for his tickets and we need to support the lads. Do you honestly think 20,000 fans sat there dead silence with your arms crossed, looking like you're being smacked in the face, is supporting them kids? Because all that'd do for me is put pressure on me.
Yeah.
Like, and they don't need it. This ain't their fault. Like, whereas away days, it's constantly chanting. We're getting other teams' fan bases involved. Everybody's being really supportive. I think that message is bigger than an empty away stand. Personally, like the fact that other fan bases and other clubs are getting behind us. If we didn't have away days and like people didn't show up, Wrexham wouldn't have contributed £37,000, would they? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's being spoke about.
And do you know what as well? Obviously, I speak to people like Jake who from the trust, and I've heard some of the plans for some of the future games that are coming up, and these plans all cost money. And I know initially they did, people could donate money to the cause and stuff like that. Well, they don't need to do anything like that anymore because because Wrexham have donated such a large amount of money, so which allows them to do these things without anyone else having to put any money in the pocket. And I know as fans we would do, because I think they put something up and £6,000 were raised in a blink of an eye. But if had we not gone, as I mentioned when I was speaking to Andrew earlier, had we have not gone, that would have never happened. And I know you can see, I know we didn't go so that we could get 37 grand from Wrexham. That's not the point. But in doing so, and again, it's all about that exposure as well. Like it's a difficult one. I mean, do you think we'd ever get to that stage? In kind of.
Personally, I don't think we should.
No, but like kind of if we're still talking about this. We're 10 games from the end of the season. We're already relegated. Do you think that? Do you think we could get to that point, or do you never think we will?
There's a massive possibility. He's digging his heels in. He is. And I've started using Chat GT, whatever it is, that AI.
Chat GPT. Do you know what? My missus gets that all wrong as well whenever she tries to say it. But anyway, go on.
But I've started using that, and the other night I couldn't sleep, and I was just asking questions, right? And what I didn't know is us as a club owe Chansiri 62 million.
Right.
Because he's loaned, rather than just putting money in, he's put it down as a loan.
Yeah.
Right, so if we owe him 62 mil, and then he doesn't yet own the ground, I mean, it's mortgaged, nobody knows what's going on with that, but he owes 7.4 million on that. are any of us surprised that he's holding out for at least 70 million?
Now I don't know this for certain, but my understanding is that that's not what's I can forget the word now, but that's not that money. He wouldn't get that money back, and that's kind of just a personal loan that he's made to the football club. It's not I forget again, like the debt that he owes to the HMRC, for example. If that was going to if it was into going to administration, that would get paid first. Secure? Is it a secured creditor? I think that's so he's not a secured creditor, so he wouldn't actually get that money. But I get your point. Like if he's put that much money in, I think it's he's lost to the tune of about 160 million. I want to say. If my my maths are correct. Which
but like you say, if we went into administration, what I'm doing air quotes here, what we apparently owe him would get wiped. It would be HMRC and secure loans that are paid off.
Yeah.
So he would lose everything, and then we all wonder why he don't pay, and then he'll pay on last day. He's finding the money because he don't want to go into administration because he's going to lose everything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, though, the longer he stays on, he's had opportunities to sell the club when it's been at its height. We're going down. We're going further down. Like we're on that downwards trajectory. There's no sign of it bottoming out at all. And my worry is as well is that we're going to be in an absolute free fall if this continues. We won't have a squad next season to even compete. Everyone thinks that League One's like Mickey Mouse League. It's took us 2 seasons to get out there on every single time we've been down. And that's without being an absolute basket case of a football club. That's when we could sign players and we could attract players and stuff like that. Now, like, it's not as easy as what people are making out. And I think, we're not just going to go down and bounce straight back up. I think we're going to really, really, really struggle. In fact, thanks for coming on. Really, I'm gonna have to move on, so we've not got long, and I've got other people that I need to speak. Okay. But it's great to hear you and great to have you on as always. I'd welcome anyone to come up. But thank you very much for coming up. I'll come to Peter, and then I've got Big Artie Shaw as well that wants to speak. Let me read some more comments out. Matt says, didn't even know we paid for away stewards. Yeah, we have. It's the Wednesday stewards that go away, and also there's policing as well, which I don't know if we pay for that or not, but the South Yorkshire Police do go to the away games, so we do have to contribute to all that sort of stuff. Annie, money's too tight to mention for many fans. Matt says, evening all, these are really still early days of protesting and there has to be a focus on the most successful opportunities. I believe the trust plans are the right ones right now. J Blog says maybe what would get other clubs putting pressure on him would us removing 70,000 per away game from them clubs. I don't know if the other clubs are that bothered, really, in all honesty. They do it for a bit of a pat on the back, but ultimately, I don't think the £70,000 that we're going to give them for the away tickets. Again, is it really going to go that far? Is it really going to be that much of a problem? Is that one thing going to then make them go, wait a minute? But then again, what are they going to do? They can't just rewrite the EFL regulations overnight just because they've not got 70 grand for an away day. I don't know. Matt, what if we didn't get that money from Wrexham? Well, if we didn't get that money from Wrexham, then the trust won't be able to do the sort of things that they've been able to do. They wouldn't have been able to buy the scarves that they've been buying in at 5,000-6,000 scarves. Oh no, not that many. 1,000-2,000 scarves a week or whatever that they've been continually buying. I know they've been selling them, but they have been making a loss on that. But they had to have that money in the first place. So, and that's not the only thing. There's other things that have been happening as well that have been apt to be paid for as well. Michael, I've got a 10-year season ticket. He's had my £5,500. I've 2 daughters who are desperate to go next season. Between a rock and a hard place. I'll probably buy them season tickets as these are precious. with my daughters. Yeah, there's a lot of people in that same situation. Why is it different away or home? Can someone say that? You might have to elaborate, Matt, on that one. What do you mean? Why is the support away different? Or yeah, let me know. Gaffer says he's lost 160 million through his own incompetence right from the second year of his tenure. And Daz says the other things with buying a season ticket is those who go with the mates and sit with the mates. People are not going to risk somebody else taking their seats when Chansiri leaves. And yeah, that's something that Matt mentioned at the weekend. He says that in his opinion, his season ticket is the best seat in the house. And he sits just in front of his dad. If he was to not get a season ticket, yeah, he's risking someone else coming in and taking that. I suppose the other argument would be, I don't think anyone's buying any season tickets, but if you sit bang on the halfway line, on the north or on the south, or you sit on that row on the south stand with the extra leg room, if anyone's going to buy a season ticket, 100% they're going to try and get those seats there. Keep all your comments coming in. Do appreciate it. Let's come to Peter then next. Peter, mate, how's things? You all right?
I'm all right, James. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you very much. Where do you stand in all this, Peter?
I've got mixed feelings, but I'll be at Charlton on Saturday, and I'm intending to go to West Brom. I feel what the trust are doing is.
Peter, before you're someone with a lot of TP points, aren't you? You've got, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm in the first bracket, and it's me and my lad are, but it's took us 3 years to get there. It's not took us 5 and 10 years to get there. We started on 0. Me and my lad started going September 2021. Wigan away was our first game together, and we started off with the 230 points, and we managed to get them on first day, second day, third day, fourth stage tickets, and it's took us 3.5 years to get here. But we finally got to the first group of fans, and I consider myself very lucky. We've put the miles in, put the hard work in, but and spent lots of money. But I feel very sorry for those fans who can't get to it. But like Sup said, the first caller tonight, Sups is a prime example. He's boycotting. The point I'm trying to make is he's boycotting the home games, but he's doing what he can to get to away games to get his football fix in. And the comments he made were absolutely spot on. I sit in the North Stand T1, and from what I can see, most fans around me on the concourses, upstairs and downstairs, are doing their bit. The fact that he's only got one, concession stand open on each level, that says it. That says it all to me. And the little bit of profit that he's making on a bag of Haribos or a pint, if somebody wants one, or a bottle of water, is far outweighed by all the non-purchases that everybody else is making. I'll be boycotting the Borough game, Middlesbrough game, like I did the Leeds and the Grimsby matches. But I want to throw something at people. On the front of our shirts, we've currently got Mr. Vegas. How many Sheffield Wednesday fans have got Mr. Vegas accounts? Have stopped betting with Mr. Vegas because of Chansiri's actions? How many Sheffield Wednesday fans have stopped using the club's sponsors because of Mr. Chansiri? I ask you them questions. How far do you want to take this boycott? How far are we going to hit him in the pocket? How many people have stopped buying Berry's pork sandwiches? Because he sells those products on the concourse, as far as I'm aware. How far do we take it? A couple of big things. We're currently coming to the end of the international break. It's been, excuse my French, it's been boring as fuck for the last 2 weeks. There's been no football to moan about. There's been no EK Ugbo to moan about. There's been no. We can't talk about Ernie Weaver because he's crocked again. Oh, he's crocked him. He's got injured. We can't bemoan the fact that we've only got 11 players. We can't bemoan the fact that we've got a bench full of kids. So we're all looking for something to do. So the thing that seems to be most popular, and it's the same 8, 9, 10 voices that you see on social media and Twitter all the time, constantly moaning about this, that, and the other, and anything to do with Wednesday, and it causes arguments amongst fans. So it's took me a lot this week to refrain from commenting because I've seen some real rubbish. You know, I've seen the photographs of people with black and gold scarves on, eating a pie and drinking a pint of beer. What's all that about?
Do you know what I'm dreading?
That's pathetic.
I'm dreading next a week tomorrow when the Star, and they're going to do it because it'll have got so many clicks. And you know what I'm going to say? It's that article that they're going to run. It's not really an article. It's just a post on their website. Photos from Middlesbrough. And people they can't wait to look at who's been to Middlesbrough.
I saw it. I saw a comment 2 or 3. I think it was a fortnight ago now. There were Wednesday fans aiming comments at Alex Miller and Joe Cran and Rob Staten. Why don't the journalists start boycotting matches? And I'm thinking, what planet are you on? You know, if you cast your mind back 12 months. Or it might even be more now. We had the tennis ball demonstration that were a waste of time. We had the first leaflet campaign, waste of time, got loads of stick. Then the Trust got involved. They had their leaflet campaign, got stick, but it was a bit more successful. Then we went to Leicester, started this season, and this is the big point. This is what everybody's missing. The publicity, the PR we had at Leicester City is absolutely priceless. That sort of publicity where we're on Sky News all day, every day for the next 2 or 3 days. You cannot buy that. That would have cost hundreds of thousands of pounds to replicate that. Then we had the pitch invasion against Coventry. Yeah, a pitch invasion that wasn't great, but again, Sheffield Wednesday was in the spotlight. And the last point I'm going to make before I go, if you cast your mind back to this summer, the one story that was on TalkSport all day long, and I was sick to death of it, was the Isak transfer move from Newcastle to Liverpool. That was on TalkSport 24/7, 7 days a week. I was sick to the back teeth of it. I've now got other fans messaging me saying, we're sick to death of hearing about Sheffield Wednesday and all their money problems and Chancery, because you're the ones who's on TalkSport now 24/7. There's not a day goes by when we aren't in the media spotlight. You cannot buy that kind of coverage. So the lads at the Trust, who you said earlier, do it all voluntarily, I take my hats off to them. They're doing an absolutely fantastic, amazing job. Really are. You know, and as for the boycott, I'll boycott home games, but I won't give me away games up at all. And it's a different atmosphere away. The atmosphere at home has been ripped out of us because we all feel helpless. We all feel there's nothing we can do about the situation. But away, it's a completely different mentality. It's like we're all in this together. Let's do something about it. Whether it's the day out, whether it's the alcohol, whether it's the journey, whatever it is, it's a completely different experience.
What do you say, Peter, to those people that perhaps don't have a season ticket and they go to maybe 3 or 4 games at home and they're now choosing not to do that because they're partaking in the boycott, but yet people are still going away?
I would say make your own mind up, ignore the haters, and don't get persuaded by people who are on social media all the time. Remember, out of the 20,000 Wednesday fans who go every week, I would hazard a guess there's less than 50% of them are on social media. A lot less, probably a quarter of them are on social media. We'll have Twitter, we'll have Facebook. A lot less.
Yeah, great stuff, Peter. Thanks for coming on, pal. Appreciate it as always. Do you agree with what Peter said? Do you disagree? Let me know. Get in the comments as well. Let's come to Big Artie Show. Then I've got Rob and I've got Sean that I'll try and get through. We'll probably run on, but who cares? It's what it is. There's not another programme coming on. It's not the television, even though some people have got me on the telly, which again that just baffles me, to be fair. But let's come. Actually, let me read a few more comments out if we can. Alex, if people want to go to away games, they should be allowed to go. We all want the same thing, and that is Des to leave all Wednesday, aren't we? Yeah, Des. I think I might start calling him Des. That's a good one, that one. I like that one. Richard, that's the minority that gives grief to home fans that go. this, that, go because they have a season ticket, or those that buy something from the kiosk. Aid says, Pete, stop calling him Mr. Chansiri. He doesn't deserve the respect. Matt, 100% agree with Peter. Well said, mate. Annie, I used to go away but enjoy going to home and support the lads. John says, I'm totally opposite, Annie. Home is bland. Right, let's come to Big Artie Show next then, if we can. How's it going, mate? You all right?
Evening, mate. How's it going? Yeah, good. It's nice to have debates rather than therapy today.
Yeah, it is. Do you know what? Like, I'd rather we didn't. I'd rather we were debating whether we should be playing, Palmer
4-3-3 or
yeah, exactly, and thrashing that one out. But look, we're here. This is what it is all about. Like, let's talk about it. And I think like what someone mentioned earlier, like I think it was Andrew actually. Yeah, what frustrates me, I like social media is great, but also what also frustrates me is how there's no nuance in there, and it's literally because you've only got so many characters to get your point across. You have to kind of just go balls deep, and then people just, people just start an argument, or it seems like it's an argument when actually, on here you can just have a chat and have a debate and discussion about it, and there is a bit of middle ground, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I think it's true. It's like, as you say, you're restricted to your character spaces, and you've got to try and think of how you can morph a word into a smaller word so you can maintain your characters. And sometimes your message might get lost in translation, as I say. But to be honest, I think to be honest, we're missing the actual crux of it all. And I think what we need to be doing is we need to be of a unified voice. Stop sniping at each other. I've been very much an advocate over the last weeks and months that we're in it together. We are in it as a fan base to get one person out. And if we continue the sniping, it only fuels one person. It doesn't fuel the club. The fan base. It fuels him. So I get what people are saying, and it just happens to coincide to a international weekend, of which that's always handy because we've got no else to say, we've got no else to think of. There was no real reporting of anything else. A good news story: people got paid beginning of this week, but again, if we look at it, we're only 2 weeks away from another. 2 weeks away from another announcement from Rob Staten or possibly Alex Miller, basically saying, they've not been paid, or they've just been informed on Thursday night via email that they're not getting paid again. So we're back to square one. I think we've got to stop sniping at each other, because ultimately we have got to be unified. We've got to be of a unified voice. And I know it's easy saying it, and it's saying, but I believe that the boycotting at home is working. It is absolutely hammering him. What I want to believe as well is away games are us Wednesday in the public eye. And I know Peter's just mentioned it. It's Wednesday in the public eye. If we turn up with 3,000 and we do our protest, and we've got the home supporters supporting us and applauding us and rallying around us, then we are keeping ourselves current. And that is the point we need to get across. We need to maintain currency. As soon as we no longer become current, and another news story comes through, then yesterday's headlines, today's chip wrappers, and hence why we need to stop talking about the 5%, because ultimately we're giving our hosts, when we're away, 95%. Because ultimately it would be, we're cutting off his nose to spite his face by not turning up to an away game. So I think what we need to do, and I don't keep labouring the point, we just need to take a deep breath, stop finding faults in everybody else, in ourselves, within us as a fan base, and let us keep moving forward. We've got to keep pressuring him, and we've got to keep pressuring him because of other avenues that we're hoping to get in, takeover, the independent football regulator and everything like that. And it's clear, even last week with the IFR, they can't do anything yet because they haven't been given the powers.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we have got to hold the line. I've been very clear over the last weeks and months. As a fan base, we have got to hold the line. We have got to keep the support for our team, but not that bloke in charge. Because if we don't hold the line, and if we start fracturing, it only benefits him. Now, once the IFR get the powers, ultimately everybody will look into him. Now, clearly, as the IFR, they didn't want, it's like a restaurant. They always like to do a soft opening, to see how it goes, go through the motions, see how the procedures and practices go, and prove concept. Unfortunately, we've got a basket case in charge of us, and therefore everybody is now looking at the IFR and going, right, this is your first test. So they've got to make sure all their ducks are in one row. They've got to make sure their processes are watertight. They've got to have their regulatory powers described and passed so that they can do elements or get him in, and then they can then start taking it forward. I think what we need to do now is, as I say, is we need to allow that time. We've got a game coming up on Saturday. We need to support the team. We need to keep that pressure on, and we need to do things where we feel comfortable in our protest. And as I said before, if that's not turning up to a game, or it's not buying a pint and a pie, if it's not buying a program and things like that, but if you're making one contribution, you're doing one more thing to try and starve him an income line. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to get ourselves and us focused back onto that we are ultimately in a battle against one person as a fan base of thousands. So let's stop sniping each other, and let's get him out as soon as we can.
I'm just going to bring these a couple of comments up. Jay says, I'm just confused that the message is from the trust. Are we trying not to give DC income, or does it depend on how much it is, or do what you feel? If it wants to be joined up, it needs to be clearer. And then there's another one from Anne that says, I agree, atmosphere at Hillsborough has been dire, but if you bought a season ticket and been told to boycott home games and everyone else is still going away, why is it any different? Just quick, like my thoughts on that is, one, it's just one game. It's the Middlesbrough game at the moment. We've got Oxford, I think, the following Saturday. Nobody's saying not to go to that one. If you've got a season ticket, happy days, we're all back in. I think the reason why, obviously the Borough game has been picked, and Jake mentioned it earlier, it's on Sky. We're actually on Sky TV on the 8 o'clock game. It's not even red button. So, you can go to the pub and watch it there. Nobody's going to miss out on watching it. I know there's ways of watching 3 p.m. kickoffs, which I know people use. But yeah, that's it's only one game that's been asked. I mean, what's your take, Artie, on the kind of not a pound in the ground and stuff? And because obviously it's not a pound in our ground. It's not a pound in everyone else's ground. But yeah, what's your take?
Well, my take is this. Yeah, we have got season ticket holders now. The within the ground, and that's fine. You have paid for your seat for the season, and therefore you are entitled to use that seat for every game at home. Now, I believe that the trust is not three-line whipping it and saying none of you are going into that ground. They are not going to be people from trust or other Wednesday fans at the gates basically glaring. I hope to God they ain't, because then that would just decimate all the respect of the trust, and as we so it is. We are all in a free will society, and if you feel that you want to go and watch the game, then you go and watch the game. But if you go and watch the game and don't buy a concession, and you don't buy a program, then you've still contributed to that protest. 17 or 15,000 season ticket holders within Hillsborough. If a third of those season ticket holders were not to attend, that means there's only 10,000 in that ground. Bearing in mind, there's 12 and a half in the north, there's about 12 in the south, and the Cop's about 10-ish, or there or thereabouts. You're talking a very massive swathe of real estate to fill, right? So if 10,000 turn up and a few through throw go in as well, it will look absolutely like it's a ghost town, because there's no way you would be able to. There'll be more empty blue seats than there would be filled seats. Yeah. So it's the impression, and the only reason I can see that it's been identified for is the Sky thing. It's again Wednesday in the public eye. Look at the ground; it's empty. There's 4,500 Middlesbrough fans going absolutely potty. But look at this. There's only 8,000, 10,000 Wednesday fans in three big stands.
And let's not forget as well, this will be used then. These images will be used constantly in the Trust's messaging. It'll be used by, the Star will obviously be doing something on it. I'm sure other, if they've got anything about them, the other national media outlets will be using those images. The photographers will be taking so many photos of the empty seats that are in, I'm sure there'll be a wide shot of players on the pitch, because that's always whenever you always see them, don't you? It's normally opposition fans having a dig at another team for how little, how few fans are in the ground, and the comments are always, yeah, but that were before kickoff, that were at 2 o'clock for a 3 o'clock kickoff or whatever. There'll be that wide shot of players on the pitch and nobody in the Cop or the North. And those images, you can't create those images without people not going, and then they'll be used then, and that's what it's all about. It's as much the financial as it is the visual as well. That's what a protest is all about. Like, you've got to create impact, and those messages get around. We don't know which stick is going to be the one that pokes that bear and he actually reacts to. We've tried loads, and at the moment it seems like none of them have actually worked, because we've not provoked any sort of reaction from Chansiri. As to why, we don't know. He's not come out and said anything. Me personally, I thought he would have said something. He could not wait to say things before. He was dying to type on that keyboard and put out a message whenever anything else happened. I'm amazed that he's kept so quiet. Maybe Trevor's taken the password off him, and he can't. Maybe someone's deactivated his email address or something, because we haven't heard anything from it at all. But maybe the next thing might be that one thing that just makes him throw the towel in, wave the white flag, and leave. And until you try it, you're never going to know, are you?
No, and as I've said before, this is attritional. This is all about the attrition. We know that he's struggling. We know he hasn't got the money. We know he can't pay players. He can't play playing staff. He can't pay non-playing staff. He is on his arse. He hasn't got the opportunity to shuffle money from one company to another company to basically allow him to give himself some breathing space. We are literally choking him, metaphorically, out of an opportunity to survive. And that's what we've got to keep our focus on. We've got to keep a sole focus. We have got to look at opportunities to keep the pressure on him, because ultimately there will be a point where he has to put his hands up and go, I haven't got the money. I'm not going to be able to do it. And if that, the thing is, if he's pushed in the corner, and I think we've been on about it again before, if he goes into administration, it does not benefit him one bit.
Yeah.
And that's the point. I think he's trying to hold out. Now, whether he's thinking that he's going to have some magical cash cow when he brings early birds out, I think he's got another thing coming. In his mind, he's probably thinking, well, last season I got 17,000 early or 10,000 early birds, earned myself 8 mil. Didn't put anything into a club, didn't pay any players, but I put that into my other companies to keep them afloat, type of stuff. thought process. He won't have that luxury, and it's really upsetting that there are people who have invested their life in that seat to watch their team week in, week out, to support their team and through thick and through thin, that they are now making an ultimate decision of, whilst he's here, I'm not buying my season ticket.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that is the next one. In 4 weeks' time, 5 weeks' time, there's going to be an official announcement, early bird tickets. Now he's going to do one of two things. He's either going to be belligerent and go, I'm going to keep the prices as they are, or he's going to try and do land grab. And he's literally going to go, I'm going to knock it down by this price, or miraculously go, it's my 10th anniversary, I'm going to knock it down to what it were 10 years ago, or whatever, to try and get fast cash.
Yeah,
that's what he's after.
Yeah, do you know what? I know. Matt mentioned it the weekend, saying that he thinks that that it'll be a price freeze or whatever. I've been thinking about it, and actually, they're not daft. Look at the cup games. If there wasn't the call for a boycott, they wouldn't have just opened the South Stand for the Leeds game. They knew there weren't going to be a big uptake in tickets. They're not. We might think they're daft, but they're not daft. And I've got a funny feeling that if he's got anything because if I know that nobody's going to buy something of mine, I'm just going to make it. If you make it half price, then people might then buy it. All right, you've got to do twice the work for the same amount of return. But I think I genuinely think there'll be a massive reduction on the season ticket prices, and then because all those that are on the fence, all those that are thinking, oh, do I don't I? They end up buying one, and then they might end up buying two because I can get one for my missus as well because it's only this price. I genuinely think that he's going to do a massive reduction on him to kind of play with people's emotions.
I'll be honest with you. This will be this early bird announcement in 4 weeks' time is going to be emotional torture to Wednesday fans.
Of course, it will be.
I genuinely believe it will be an absolute heartstring moment because he will know that if he can knock it down to a reasonable price to guarantee him fast cash flow for December into January, he will do everything in his means to do it. That's how he'll pull it because it won't be financial. It will be emotional blackmail on us as fans.
Yeah,
100%. We've been very good at financially hitting him and starving him and reducing his inflow to a point. But he has got one last bullet in his gun, and that is an emotionally charged early bird, which he'll use and pull at us psychologically at our heartstrings. Because, as you say, Matt says he's been there for years. His old man's behind him. He's got a great, and that's everybody. That's just like my old man. My old man's exactly the same. He's got people who he's sat there for 15, nearly 20 years. And again, is he gonna do it because that's his little community? That's his little posse who he meets every other Saturday. What you've been up to and all like that, and it's all that community. But again, it's a hard thing because we need to take for this 1 year. We need to take emotion out of it, and it's easy to say. It's always easy to say, but if we can take the emotion out of it and actually look at the bigger picture, look at the long game. If we don't buy season tickets, it guarantees that he will not have that cash flow of 4 to 8 million instantly available to him.
Yeah,
and it's hard. It's horrible. And it shouldn't be. We shouldn't be in that position. It's absolutely god awful, and it is again psychological torture on us as a fan base. But that's what ultimately is going to happen.
Agreed. Artie, thanks for your comments, mate. And really
no
appreciate
problem,
it, as always. We have ran on, but I've said I'll come to Rob and Sean. Rob, I'll come to you next. Sean, do stick there. I will come to you shortly. Rob, what do you want to have to say, mate?
I think everything's been pretty much ticked off.
Right, anyway, that's Rob for you, mate.
Good night.
Go on, what do you want to say, mate?
No, I think this past few days where everyone's just gunning for everyone. It's not good. Like, I've been there. I know exactly what it feels like. There's too much infighting. All this hatred to people wanting to go to an away game, which won't be cheap, by the way. You've got your ticket and then you'll have your travel as well. So you're talking £100 plus before your day out, plus your day out drinking and what have you. So you're talking a £200 day. So the fans that are going there, they're going to be £200 out of pocket. Meanwhile, Chancery's getting what? £8,000, is it? What's £8,000 to him? A few light bulbs around the stadium. Like, that money's already gone. Like, it's better than selling out an home game and him getting £800,000. I'd much rather him get next to nothing than a sellout game at home.
I think like when it comes to the trust and like when you're calling boycotts and protests and things like that, it comes down to kind of the effectiveness ultimately and the amount of effort plus the effectiveness of the protest. So, you know, I personally don't think because people talk about the away games, and I have gone to away games. I've gone to some, so I know, you know, exactly what it's like when you're in the boozer beforehand, and in some ways, all the stuff that surrounds the away match. I mean, maybe to be fair, maybe you don't buy a ticket, you just do all the other stuff. You got to go down and spend it with the fans before the game in the pubs and stuff. But you know, the atmosphere is far better than it is at home. So you know, yeah, that. I suppose people say, well, yeah, I'm not going to give that up because it's just a better experience, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like I'll go to away games, and I don't go to home games because it is just shite at the minute. But coming from someone who works in the sport industry, like the amount of money that you can make from a home game is mental. It can make or break your year. So if people aren't going to games, they're refusing to go to home games or pay on door, that is going to affect him massively. Of season tickets, yeah, he's got that money and he's obviously blown it, but if he's getting 3,000-4,000 people walking up paying 40-50 quid a ticket, that's still that extra income he's getting every game.
Yeah, you're right. Like same with the Leeds game, you know, that would have been what? There would have been 25,000 fans there. I would have thought, you know, I don't know how much the tickets would have been, 15 quid maybe, 20 quid.
Yeah, 15, 20 quid, weren't it? So
yeah, but I dare say that the price, you know, he would have put the price up with it being Leeds, you know, knowing that how many tickets he would sell. 20,000 fans there. It's a lot of money in it that would be coming in, and let's not forget I think there is a split on that, isn't there, actually? So Leeds would take a certain percentage of that anyway. But even still, that number is vast, and it's all about kind of, you know, that all he was asking that people to do there is just not spend the money for that home game, that cup game that people might have not gone to anyway, and yeah, like I said, it comes down to the effectiveness of it and how much that's going to actually hurt the pockets of Chancery and whether people are actually going to do it as well, because people still actually went and bought tickets. So it's a tricky one when organising protests, because you can't go from 0 to 100 straight away. I've seen it in the comments. A lot of people asking about, you know, the United game, and that's in what? It's 23rd of November. 5 weeks time it'll be 4 weeks on Saturday or Sunday. Is it Sunday, isn't it? I think
Sunday at 12.
Yeah, we've got 3 more home games. We've got Middlesbrough a week today. We've then got Oxford on the Saturday. Then we've got Norwich. I think is that a midweek game. So we've only got 2 more games that we're going to go to, because we're not going to Middlesbrough, and then it is that one against Sheffield United. So people that are talking about it, let's get Borough out of the way first. Let's see how many people have the appetite to not turn up to that game before we start talking about Sheffield United as well. Rob, massive thanks for coming on, pal. We're way over time, and I want to get Sean in before we finish. Sean, how's things, mate? Thanks for patiently waiting. Do really appreciate it. Just unmute yourself if you are still there. Hi, Sean.
Hi, James. Thank you for reaching out to me. I tried to get through a couple of weeks ago, but I got cut off driving to work, so I tried to listen to the show driving to and from work.
Oh, great stuff. Thanks for coming on, pal. Apologies you've had to wait so long. It's been a busy one this evening. But where do you stand in the whole away games boycott, shall we, shan't we?
Regarding the away games, I don't see an issue with fans going personally, because it's one of them. The fans what are going are the proper. I see that as the proper away fan, the proper Wednesday following fans. People what have built the points up and want to go. Eventually, when the results start turning out more like Coventry, when we get through the winter periods and we start picking up more knocks, start getting more injuries, I think 20%, 30% will die off naturally, especially near Christmas time and near January time. If the team isn't performing and there's more bad results on the way, I don't know what went to Brentford when we lost 5-0 under Gary Monk all them years ago, but when you went to Luton and we were 2-0 up and then 3-2, then it was 5-0. And the away fans were booing the players and stuff. When we went down from Championship to League One, there was a decrease in away attendance, and probably tickets were coming more available for people with less points. So I think that'll happen naturally as the season progresses.
Yeah, you're right. Like at the moment, we're overachieving. I feel like it's still quite good in terms of the performances that putting in. We're actually competing away from home as well. With what you could argue we could have won all of them so far. You look at Leicester, obviously we beat Pompey, Wrexham we should have won in the last minute, and Birmingham threw it away in the very last minute of that game. So actually the away experience from a footballing perspective has obviously been a lot better than the spankings that we've got against Stoke, we've won Bristol City, Coventry City as well, only scoring one goal at home. I can see why people want to go to the away games instead of going to home. I mean, what's your obviously people are saying that I mentioned the £8,000 for the that he will be getting for the away ticket sales, like the commission that he would get from that. People then say, well, that's 180 grand over the course of a season. What's your take on that? Is that are you bothered about that much money going to Chancery? Should we stop spending absolutely everything, or are you okay with that?
It's one of them. When you go away from home, the club isn't allowing fans to protest inside the ground, taking the banners in, and protests are having to be talked on online. So the club is quite aware of what's going to happen before it happens at an home game. At an away game, the fans get the chance to showcase their banners. There's the media attention, like what happened at Leicester. So, like Pete said earlier, the 180k is going to get for a year, give or take 20, 30 grand either way, depending on capacity. The media attention outweighs that cost. Massive. I see that's massively. And then the 37 grand what Wrexham gave to the Supporters Trust straight away. And then, like somebody said earlier, if he's got to pay for stewards and policing, I don't know if that cost is against the home club, but 180 grand isn't going to run the club for a month, is it?
Well, the wages are going to be, like I said, it's either a week or 2 weeks, whichever way you look at it. When you're looking at, there will be players on between £10,000 and £20,000 a week at Sheffield Wednesday. Still, I would have thought, doesn't take many of them to, we've got 13, 14, 15 senior pros, I think it is. So if they're on, anywhere between £6,000 and £10,000, £15,000, it doesn't take many of them, does it, to rack up a quite considerable wage bill just for a week as well. We're not talking about a year, we're talking about a week. So again, I think it all boils down to, yes, it is money that is going to Chancery. However, I feel like it's a small price to pay for what comes out of it at the other end, in terms of, as you've just mentioned, the exposure, and the, well, it is mainly just the exposure, and also, I suppose, then people that are going to the away games, it was supposed to be enjoyment, and it's supposed to be entertaining football. That's what it is. I know it don't feel like it, but you get something out of it from a personal level, from something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hope what Matt said on the Sunday session, that when we play Middlesbrough, it's 7,000 Wednesday fans most, and they're scattered across the grounds. I hope it's less than that, but I don't believe it will be. But even if it's 10,000, what you've never seen in a Sheffield Wednesday league game in history, and then they're scattered around the grounds. And I know you've said about we shouldn't be talking about Sheffield United game coming up, but who's got the appetite to pay £30 for a ticket to go and watch Sheffield United when we couldn't beat them last year, when we had a stronger setup, a good manager, and we couldn't beat them last year? And I know they've started off terrible, but to think then we're going to do them on our own back garden, with the team we've got, where all we seem to do at home is we can't attack teams, so the away performances are better because we let teams come and attack us and then try and hit them on the break. Yeah. At home, we can't seem to do that. We can't just sit with a back 10 and then wait for teams just to attack, and then try and break them down or counter-attack. So what's the appetite to go to Sheffield United at Hillsborough? And then if they do turn us over, for Wilder to come out and poke everybody and say, "Oh yeah, it could have been 5, it could have been 6, or something like that."
I just feel that game we are in a hide into nothing, because if we don't turn up, they're gonna love it. That we haven't turned up for our big cup final, as they'll call it, and but then if we do turn up, they're gonna say, "Well, where's all these protests and stuff?" I feel like they're winning before we even get to that point. So I don't know what we're going to do. Obviously, there's a bit of time between now and then. In a weird way, I know it's funny that they're below us. In a weird way, I hope they go on an absolute storm and kind of win every game between now and then, because it will make that, what you've just been saying there. I would argue that actually it's probably our best opportunity of beating them, because they are so low at the moment. Whereas, if they do have gone a bit of a tear up and start winning games, there'll be more of an, Wednesday fans will just be like, well, it's just going to be it's going to be a hammering. I don't want to be there. It'll be embarrassing, etc., etc. Maybe there will be more of an appetite not to go. But people calling for that game to be boycotted, we're not there yet. Just give it time. Another 5 weeks yet until we get to that point. Just see what happens. Sean, thanks for coming on, pal. Do really appreciate it. Great to hear different voices as always, which is always nice. I am going to wrap it up there though, because we have ran on a little bit, nearly 2 hours on the debate show this evening, which is if people want to talk, we'll stay on. Matt said, James, stop blocking me. I've not blocked you at all, pal. I don't know. I've literally not touched a button. So I've seen you've been spamming your Facebook group in the comments. I've let you do it. It's absolutely fine. Whatever. But no, I'll read a few more comments out if I can before I finish. Mark says, hopefully Chansiri might do a bog off deal when he finally bogs off. Lol. Yeah. John says, live pod next week, James. Yes, there will be a watch-along for the Middlesbrough game. There will be a watch-along for this Saturday's game against Charlton as well. So make sure you join me, and hopefully we get a decent result from that one. We did a watch-along for Pompey. We won that one. Birmingham nearly won that game. Maybe we can get something out of this one on Saturday. Jay says, if away supporters want to go, then that's fine. As long as you are aware you're putting money in his pocket and you're fine with it, then that's fine. Please stop trying to justify it, though. And then I feel like he's going to say something else after, but we'll never see it, because that's where we're going to finish. Thank you very much, everyone. Please, if you do want to hear more of this sort of stuff, then please become a Patreon member. Patreon.com/WTID pod is where you need to go. Also, thanks everyone for, not this one because I've not got one, but buying the hoodies, the North Stand hoodies. You can get those. We're getting into the colder climate, so easiest way is go over to X, go on a bio. There's a link tree there, and you can go to the shop and you can buy the North Stand black and gold hoodies, which are available for people to purchase. So, no, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much, everyone. Do really appreciate it. Join us on Saturday for the watch-along for the Charlton game. Same place on YouTube. I'll see you there. Cheers.